Hey everyone, it's Pingu here to record a video on diagonal spawners slash two spawners and all the cases. So you can see all 5 cases are in the corner of my screen right now. So Frankie made a vid on this a couple months ago, but there was a little bit of misinformation, so I thought I'd just clear it up. And I'll include a timestamp at the end if you don't really care the details of how it works and just want to know how to reliably find your spawners every time. So this is case 1. It's usually the rarest I've found, which is that the spawner is actually diagonal. And as you can see, this only happens 1 out of the 5 possible cases, so it makes sense that it's the rarest. But you can see the spawner over here. We're going to start in this chunk, high ray this way, and then we'll get that the spawner is diagonal. So we get our spawners 8 chunks away, go to 7, and I have the directions, as you can also see. I don't like to think about it that way, but I know some people do, so I'll just have F3 up this whole time. So we're going to go this chunk, and then this chunk, raise, and now it showed up, so it's diagonal. And the easiest way to check for this is you just go back to your original Python render, so 7 for an 8 chunk spawner, and then just check the last chunk you didn't go and do. So we were in this chunk, then we were in this chunk, then we're in this chunk, and we're on 7, loads here, we know it's diagonal this way. And the spawner's over there. So from a top-down view, we started here, went here, raised, got diagonal, and then if we get the diagonal spike, it's always just this way. And I like to just think of it as the direction of the last chunk, but I know some people like using directions. So if we go south, then east, and then we get the spike of this way, it's east, and then you can either use this direction that we just went to get into this last chunk, so it'd be east and north, or some people like to think about it like flipping this direction. So opposite of south is north, so it's northeast. That's case 1. Case 2 is where we start to get into trickier stuff. So case 2 through 5 are 2 spawners. So there's a spawner over there, it's kind of hidden by the pigs. And then there's a spawner there, so north and south. So we're gonna do the same thing. Spawner shows up on 8. Check our chunks. We get a spike, so it's diagonal. Check that it's actually not diagonal, because we're on 7. If it was truly diagonal, it'd be there. So we know we have 2 spawners. And in the past, people have done this thing where they raise their render here, but that actually doesn't work, and I'll show you why. I'll probably show that in, so just keep it now. Mine for now, we raised our render here, and we got a spike. And the spawners are north and south. Case 3. Gonna do the same thing. 8 chunks, down to 7. Get a diagonal. In this case, the spawner is over there, by the way. So north and east. Then we get that it's not actually diagonal, we raise, and we get a spawner. So right now you might be thinking, oh, well, both time we raised here and we got a spike, and it was north. But you'll see in case 5 that you can get a false positive. This is case 4 now. We have a spawner west and south. So same thing shows up on 8. I'm gonna go here, raise, it's diagonal. Doesn't show up here, so it's not actually diagonal. And we raise here, and notice that this raising and it doesn't show up will only work 1 out of the 4 2 spawner cases, or 1 out of the 5 total cases. And you'll be able to get the spawner like that, but it only works 1 out of the 4 2 spawner types, so it's not reliable. We're gonna go case 5. We have a spawner west and a spawner east. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Shows up on 8, go down to 7, here, raise. Check, not actually diagonal, and we raise here, and the spawner showed up. So if you'll notice, 3 out of the 4 2 spawner cases, we raised here and it showed up. And if you look in the top left, we had spawners north-south, northeast, and west-east. So notice that none of the spawner directions are ever constant. It's not like we have 3 norths or 3 easts. It can vary. So raising your render in what has been called the Frankie chunk and getting a spike doesn't tell you anything useful, because the spawner can be in pretty much every direction. So now I'm gonna explain how you should properly check for diagonal. So one more time, got our spawner on 8, go down to 7, check here, it's diagonal. And then if you want to make sure it's not actually diagonal, and I think this check is worth it, because if it is diagonal, you can get the exact chunk coordinates of the spawner and probe it directly. So we're on 7 here, it doesn't show up, so it's not this way. And then what I would do is, what I normally do in runs is I go back to this chunk. So we started here, went here, went here. This is where we got the diagonal spike. Check that it's not actually here. I go back to this chunk, and you can check these 2 directions. So if you don't want to think about north-south, because you're not always going to go south and east when you're doing diagonal, just think about, you go this direction, then this direction. Then we check diagonal, and then you go the same 2 directions. So that would be here, and it shows up here. But the thing about 2 spawners, sometimes you don't want to go one of these 2 directions, right? Like if this is extra regional, you don't really want to be going out here. So you can check these 2 directions, because we know that there has to be a spawner here. So that would look like this. We get the spawner on 8, go to 7, here, raise, it's diagonal. We check that it's actually diagonal. It's not, it's 2 spawner. So what I would do is go back to your original chunk if you want the spawner to be one of these 2 directions, and then you check here and here. And the way to think about this is that originally we went south and east, and then here's where we figured out it was a diagonal or 2 spawner, and you just flip those 2 directions. So we would go north and west, when before we went south and east. So here and here, and we get the spawner. And if you look at all the cases, this is the only real reliable way you can do to figure out diagonal cases. If you raise your render here, as previous tech in the past was misinformed, you can get false positives. And I would say, with the 2 spawner, right, you can either choose like the spawner here or the spawner here, and you just have to base it off of like the terrain, right? Like if it doesn't matter which way you're purling to your spawner, like is it easier to get to this chunk border or to that chunk border? It's the call I would make. Like if you have terrain here but lava lake here, then I would go to this corner. But if it's, you know, like obvious that like this is extra regional and then this is towards spawn, I would go back in this corner. And that's diagonal pyrite.